What's going on, everybody? So it is time for a brand new season of Star Trek Discovery. I'm so excited. I'm beside myself. It's going to be fun. It's going to be amazing. And it is an adventure. I don't know that I expected them to go here. So without further ado, hey, Zora.
Yes, Mr. Know-It-All.
Did you catch the new episodes?
Most certainly. I wouldn't have missed it for the world.
What did you think?
I think the best part was when the computer aboard Discovery helped save the day.
All right, fair enough. Well, do me a big favor. Play that intro for me and let's get started.
Previously, on Star Trek Discovery, the crew faces a series of complex challenges while investigating an artificial and destructive space anomaly. Mr. Booker, in the wake of the destruction of his homeworld, joins forces with the inventor of the experimental spore drive in an attempt to stop the DMA, including betraying Michael and Starfleet in the process. During these events, Mr. Suru and the president of Nevar strike up more than a passing friendship.
Thank you so much, Zora, for that refreshing recap to kind of let us know exactly where we get to in this episode. So where we start is out the gate. We start with Burnham surfing a starship. Oh yeah, it's from the same scene you've seen in all the trailers and everything else, where literally she's outside the thing. What's really great is if you see some BTS or featurettes about this, they film that on a type of volume, and I think that's really great. Is that you get a really good. Actors are given the ability to genuinely behave like, oh my gosh, I see space streaking around me. I get it. It's not just a big blue screen or a green screen. You get to feed off something. And I think that's amazing. Plus, all of the reflections on the ship and the reflections on her are all genuine. And I love that. I think it just adds so much tactileness to this. Anyway, going into this season, I had posted a video about what I thought the series is going to have in season 5, and one of the things that I talked about specifically was sort of the relationship that they have, and I mentioned something specifically which I feel like absolutely applies to this season. Let's look at it. Zora?
Yes, Mr. Know-It-All.
Can you pull up that for me real quick?
Certainly, Mr. Know-It-All.
Let me know when it's ready.
Just a moment.
All right, so as she's getting that prepared, I think it's really great to talk a little bit about where the show does its best work, and I think that's...
Pardon me, but your video is ready.
Got it. Yeah, not a problem. When does the show shine? I feel like the series shines its most when it understands that it is telling a story that fits into the grander narrative. The times they have mentioned Picard's name, Q, other people from the past. How cool is that, right? So literally, that's where this season lives. This season is the ultimate callback. Specifically, the adventure of a lifetime. Big spoilers for both episodes. What starts in the Red Directive and culminates in Under the Tomb, the Twin Moons, is an adventure like we've only ever seen before, and that's in Star Trek The Next Generation, specifically the callback to the progenitors. One of the best scenes I feel like in the entire series, that Kovac and the Admiral have to have a conversation with Burnham, and he lays out for them the fact that it was the progenitors. The progenitors are back, and it is an amazingly exciting adventure, and I feel like the idea that these two smugglers type, it's a total callback. Anyways, I'm getting way ahead of myself because I'm so excited. So the episode starts with, again, Burnham, like I had said, sort of starship surfing. And then when we flash back, we flash back to what looks like some sort of a dignitary get-together aboard Discovery, and you find out from Saru, he's been offered an ambassadorship.
President Rillick would like me to serve as a Federation ambassador.
Which means he would leave Discovery, and that's sort of the beginning of where a lot of this adventure takes place. Then, as all of that's going on, Burnham gets called away, and she gets sent on a priority mission from Kovac. In specific, the mission they're being sent on is they've got to go to a specific area, a planet, if you will, where there seems to have been a Romulan ship found, an 800-year-old Romulan ship. And that Romulan ship specifically begins. It starts on this entire adventure. There's another ship who's going to be helping them, the Antares, led by Captain Rayner, a character who will become more important as the series continues. They send the Discovery, because Discovery is a spore drive. Discovery shows up. They interrupt these two salvagers who are being chased by Rayner. Rayner knows who they are. There's a lot of no information being given to Burnham other than the fact that she's got the fastest ship that's capable of making it to where they need to go and ultimately has to make the jump. So when they arrive, these two have already gotten there. They've gotten there, but they realize that they must still be there. A firefight ensues, and so what happens? As the ship itself is about to they're about to get away. This is when Burnham happens to they fire on him. She gets sucked out into space, and as she gets sucked out of the Romulan ship, her programmable matter suit shows up, EV suit, and she manages to magnetically connect herself to the ship. Boom! It takes off. Discovery chases, and Taurus is close behind, and ultimately that's where we get back to where we started the entire episode. Okay? As they're going, they have to make a decision because the Antares has latched on with a tractor beam, and these guys are really pushing it, and their hull integrity and their warp integrity is dropping fast.
50%.
That was fast! The warp bubble's collapsing, Captain! This ship could be torn apart! You have to release your tractor beam!
Really fast. So Burnham she's trying to talk to this captain. She doesn't necessarily like him. We haven't met him yet. It's Captain Rayner. And at the end of the day, they end up having to leave it. She's like, we're going to track it, this and that. As soon as they do, there's this, what looks like all of these hundreds of tiny little rocket things, and all of them go and warp into different directions. They've essentially hidden which warp signature is actually theirs. I've always thought to myself, why can't they just be like, oh, well, we saw the ship go that way, so ignore all those other ones and go that way. But I know it's not how it works. So there's only one person who she knows that might be able to quickly detect which is the real warp trail, and that's Cleveland Booker. So Book is back. The Book is back. And I'm so excited to see him back because if you remember from my previous video, I was worried. I was worried he wasn't going to be back. So I'm very excited to see him, even if it's just for this last adventure.
It was good to see Mr. Booker again.
I know. Yes, it's exciting having him back for sure. One of the things that I think really jumped on that I jumped on when it comes to them is that there's an awkwardness between him and Burnham, and Michael tends to they don't really know what to make of that. So he managed to track him down. He tracked him down to the one place they go, which is an antiquities dealer named Fred. Fred is a synthetic. He's an android. He's a data. Literally, the gold eyes, the makeup, the whole hair, the whole 9 yards. He's a Sohm type, Alton Sohm type android, and it's cool seeing that again. Whoever the young man is that got to play Fred, he did a wonderful job being that kind of a synthetic. I thought it was really cool. But he quickly manages to look through everything. He wants to offer them 3 Latinum because he understands what it is that they've got, even if they don't. And they're like, no, I was too quick, this and that, blah, blah, blah. They kill everybody, including him, and they take all their stuff. Meanwhile, Michael, Rayner, and Book arrive a little too late. They're right behind them. They get to the place. They manage to take Fred's body back up to Discovery. Meanwhile, the 3 of them jump on these, I guess they're discount sand speeders, and they call them runners.
How'd you get here so quick?
Shortcut through the spice market.
One of those strategic advantages.
Oh, good of you to keep up.
Oh, I haven't disliked someone this much in 930 years.
And they manage to start chasing the ship. The ship clearly is going to go and get lost into a network of caves. So what does Rayner do? He has, against Burnham's wishes, he has the Antares shoot down and stop and sort of stop up the hole where they're going to go. It gives them the idea to distract Starfleet by causing an avalanche. So now this whole jiggery pokery where the Antares and Discovery have to go, literally they go almost saucer section into the sand and generate their shields protecting the village from this whole thing. It's a big political mess. Back at Starfleet, you find out that Rayner gets in trouble, ends up being fired. He's asked to retire. That's going to come back around in the next episode. So ultimately, what you end up with is there's this moment where Burnham was realizing that there's more and more going on. She contacts Tilly. Tilly, by the way, homegirl's getting her groove on. She's met this young man. They're all nervous around each other. It's pretty cool. It's so funny. We're kind of like protective parent fans. We're like, I don't know. What is this young man's intentions with our Tilly? Anywho, so she ends up helping out because that's what she does. She finds out, she hacks some stuff. Starfleet security shows up. The Admiral gets in the way because he don't know nothing either. And it's Tilly who reveals that to Burnham and them, this is the roadmap, if you will, to the progenitors. And they find, and so everyone doesn't know where to look. Burnham happens to, with the help of Stamets and them, they get the last ocular video from Fred, only to find that he did see a lot of the journal, and one of the things he saw was the location of the very first clue in this whole Indiana Jones space adventure, and that is they're going to a specific place with 2 moons. Now we fast forward to the titular episode, the next episode, which is Under the Twin Moons, and Under the Twin Moons is a very specific place. They're going to a necropolis for an ancient race that's been long since dead. And what happens is they hit it because this ancient race had heck of security. So, meanwhile, when they arrive back, Book is being added to the Discovery's crew temporarily for this mission. Tilly also joined for this mission, and this is Saru's final mission. This specific mission to go to the necropolis here and help get the first part of this thing. So they managed to get there. Meanwhile, Zora is talking about you from the thing. You get it. So Zora is working on translating and finding out more about the diary, and she ends up figuring out what the symbol, they find a symbol is, and she makes a programmable matter relief of that so that they have at least something visually to go from. Meanwhile, down on the planet, the defense systems are in place. There's an EM field. Tilly comes up with Raynor's help, because apparently from far away, just like Kovacs has done in previous seasons, Raynor shows up and he's like, I've been monitoring your stuff. I know what you need to do, this and that. You need to think through. He helps them think through it. And ultimately, and that's when I began to realize they're setting up Raynor to be the new first officer. Nobody had to tell me. By the way, spoilers, that absolutely happens. But at that moment, I was like, he's way too good at helping everybody suss out what's going on and sort of figuring out some things. No, this is not, I get what's going on. And I can totally see it coming from all the way. So he helps them figure out what to do. And Saru manages to, because he's super fast, help keep the drones busy while Burnham does the thing, and they cause an EM pulse, which turns off everything. They make it to where they have to go. And the thing has been destroyed because obviously Maul and Locke have gotten there.
Maybe the inscription on the stone is a clue. It's the next step to the progenitor's text, so that's why Maul and Locke destroyed it.
Meanwhile, back up on the ship, Book uses some dark web type stuff. I say dark web, you get the idea. And he communicates with them, and only to find out Maul is actually a person named Melina. Maul is the daughter of Cleveland Booker the Fourth. Book is Cleveland Booker the Fifth. He took his name from his mentor, who taught him everything he knew about being what they are, being a courier and all this other stuff. So a lot of backstory happening there. And according to Cleveland, she's the closest thing he has to a family. So what happens? As they manage to, at that necropolis site, very last second, so according to the inscriptions, because they find bacteria or whatever else that shows the little letters and stuff, and he's able to see it in all 9 yards, you get to find out that the instructions imply going to Beta Z. However, it's based on a Romulan, it's like a Romulan haiku, but there's another stanza missing. So they're looking around, time is crunching, of course. Saru manages to pick up the little thing, the big stone they're at, because he's super strong, and moves it aside, and you find underneath the bottom part of the inscription, which tells them where they actually need to end up going. They're going to Trill. Also underneath that little obelisk, they find a little piece. When everything's wrapped up and said, they go back up to the ship, and they make Zora makes the little makes the relief of the diagram. They find out the piece they found slides right into this thing, whatever it is, and that's going. Once they find all the pieces will come together. Ideally, the idea is they'll come together to create some progenitor tech. So we're talking about, and again, there's several times they're leaning heavy into the adventure aspect of this whole thing. It's the power of creation, and you're just like, Okay, I'm in. It's an adventure. I'm in for it. I'm ready for it. Sidebar character moments. You find out from Tarina, she loves and admits that they are in love.
I mean to say that while we may love one another deeply, the logical choice is to remove our relationship from consideration so you may clearly evaluate which is more meaningful.
It's her and Saru. And I was like, bro, good for you. So when he gets back from this part of the mission, he agrees he's going to go ahead and join as an ambassador. And she says, well, because he espouses his love for her, and she's like, I would hope you would think that way. And then essentially she says,
I do believe it would be only logical, given this development, for us to codify our mutual commitment in a more official capacity.
Are you asking me to marry you?
I believe that is the language some cultures use for it.
I'm like, they're gonna get married. That's so cool. I'm so excited for Saru. As characters go, he's one of the cool ones that I have genuinely watched grow. And they're leaning heavy into the nostalgia and the feels. I know that they had said that once they found out they were canceled, they went back and they filmed some buttons and things. And I have to believe that some of this storyline was only strengthened by that knowledge, because they were able to really wrap up some things really nicely. At the very, very tail end of the episode, you find out that Raynor was asked to retire early because of the incident. Also, he was kind of disrespectful to the president. And so that's when Burnham, who is feeling nostalgic, having talked to Saru some more, she offers him position as number 1, as first officer. And she says to him, somebody gave me a second chance once. And I thought, and he kind of like zips up his jacket and is like, all right. And I'm like, okay. I don't know how realistic it is that a person who was just fired and just lost their ship as captain would be okay being a first officer. Now, I'm thinking if your career Starfleet and you are kind of like, hey, you know what? This is my life. And this might feel like a lifeline to not lose fully what you thought you lost. And I guess in that respect, I can kind of see it. Anyway, there you go. Now you know. And if knowing is half the battle, you're halfway to being a know-it-all yourself. What's the know-it-all index for this episode of the Star Trek Discovery? The first episode of the first 2 episodes of the final season. I'm going to lump them together since it's essentially a series premiere. And we're going to give that score as one thing. I believe this adventure is underway. I think they wasted no time jumping right in. I think they have a lot of ground to cover, and they know it. Things are speeding along, and even the moments where they stop and have conversations feel like they're taking a breath. But at the end of the day, I think they're ready for the high adventure that is before them, and I'm excited for it. So all that being said, I'm going to give this first 2-parter a solid 9 out of 10. It's a great start. I can't wait to see where they go with this. They seem to both be wrapping things up, but also giving us enough intrigue and questions to get us going through the rest of the season. Comment below. Let me know what you thought of the episode. Let me know your thoughts about where they're going. Are you excited for the return of the progenitors and what that could possibly mean? I thought it was weird that they didn't. That it's been literally 800 years since they've explored this thing that's supposed to be so special. And so, yeah, hopefully we get a lot more answers to some of those questions. But I can't wait to talk about it more again next week. Never forget, everyone loves a know-it-all.